Welcome everybody to the off-season number 2 of this South Carolina Gamecocks Dynasty. It has been a long time coming. It's been a few days since the last episode where we beat up on Michigan in that bowl game, but some good news and some bad news. Obviously, typically I do this in a live stream format, but I am recording this right now. I intended originally to be able to use the Dynasty tool, which allows you to have a better or more realistic players leaving stage and also a better or more realistic progression stage. It also accounts for regression. Unfortunately for us, I have not been able to get it to work. I originally recorded an introduction to this video at around 2 o'clock. Today is 2 o'clock Eastern time. And it's right now 4:45 Eastern time, and I have been trying so many different times to get that Dynasty tool to work. I'm on the right stage. I've decoded the file. I've done everything I could, but I just can't quite get it to work. So the live streams will probably pick back up whenever we have our next off season because I just can't get it to work. But for right now, since I'm so far behind, I'm just going to go ahead and cover this video right now because I'm ready to get this video recorded and get it out for you guys and get started with the next season. There were some interesting hires. Scott Satterfield was going to get got an extension there at Louisville. As you can see, Georgia Tech, they ended up firing their former offensive coordinator's contract expired, so they ended up getting a new one. We really only care about the head coaches, which Virginia, they replaced head coach Elliott with Brent Brennan, who's coming out, and he is going to have an interesting opportunity here. Right now, his career and the NCAA is 35-48, so nothing too crazy when you really think about it. They have Marcus Arroyo here at Illinois. He is going to take over as the new head coach. And then down here, Jim Harbaugh got an extension. Dirk Coder is going to take over for the Northwestern Wildcats. They have struggled for the last couple of years. And then Eric Lewis is going to take over for Rutgers. The Big 12 had a little bit of change here. BYU is going to hire Lou Esposito. I believe he is coming from Texas State, I believe, where they had a successful 11-3 record this past year. Matt Campbell finally loses his job. He had struggled the last few years, but they're going to hire Ryan Grubb, a offensive coordinator, I believe. He is a new head coach trying to take over after he's leaving East Carolina. Down here, West Virginia is going to bring in Mike Houston to take over their program. Willie Taggart got an extension. Ryan Silverfield got an extension. As you can see, East Carolina, they lost out on Mike Houston. He went to West Virginia, I believe it was. Yes, West Virginia, okay? East Carolina, though, they brought in Tim Drevno. He has never had a head coaching job, but he is hopefully going to continue their success because East Carolina was very good last year. As you guys knew, they were undefeated at one point. They were 7-0. They did finish the year off 11-3, but still a very good job there. And Middle Tennessee had their former coach retire, so they brought in Bill Brecken. Dana Dimel is going to come in as Marcus Satterfield left Southern Miss for another job. You guys know he left South Carolina last year in our offseason to get a head coaching job. Then we have Jeff Grimes taking over for UTEP, and Matt Campbell, after an unsuccessful couple years at Iowa State, he downgrades and goes down to UTSA. As far as independents go, Marcus Freeman's going to stick around in Notre Dame, and we don't really care too much about the rest of these until you guys see exactly where Marcus Satterfield's going. I can't remember where he ended up. I don't know. He ended up at Tennessee. That is where it was at. So we will be taking on Marcus Satterfield every single year as long as he's at Tennessee. Right now, his head coaching record is 5-7. He's 0-1 against top 25, 2-1 against his rivals. But Tennessee must have seen something they liked. They've struggled under Josh Heupel in this reality. They have not had that great of a time. 1-11, 7-5. So Tennessee's looking to revamp, and as you can see, we were able to lock in a 7-year extension as the head coach here at South Carolina. I apologize for these logos right here that don't show up for the Appalachian State. For whatever reason, when I downloaded Revamped, the logos just didn't correlate or transfer over, unfortunately. So here we go. That is all the coaching changes for this offseason, and now we will get into the players leaving. We have a lot of them. Cam Smith drafted number 1 overall, or not number 1 overall, first round in the NFL draft. Following him up, we have Jaheim Bell drafted in the 3rd round. We got Spencer Rattler drafted in the 5th, Jordan Burch in the 6th, and Luke Doty goes in the 7th, as well as a couple of people graduating. We've got Antoine Welsh, Trayvon Kenyon, Mitch Jeter, Marcellus Dial, David Spalding, Tyreek Johnson. We have so many seniors leaving. It is going to be very, very difficult to replace a lot of them. But the good news is Marshawn Lloyd didn't declare. That's one thing the Dynasty tool is supposed to help. We are supposed to have players that may have gotten drafted early in their junior or sophomore year declare. Unfortunately, like I said, I just couldn't get it working. And now we're going to look around the country and see where everybody's going. Kool-Aid McKinstry, a very, very fun name. He's a junior. He ended up going in the 1st round, as well as Dallas Turner, a junior linebacker, was drafted in the 3rd round. Alabama does have a lot of guys transferring, though, a bunch of freshmen who will have to sit out a year, and a sophomore quarterback, Ty Simpson, transferring to Memphis. He's going to be a very impactful player for the Tigers over there. Jahmyr Gibbs, his senior year, he's drafted number 1 overall, or in the 1st round. Will Anderson, obviously a lot of these guys, they're going to have a lot of guys drafted. They have a very, very talented roster. App State, nobody gets drafted. Arizona gets 1 guy drafted in the 4th. We'll go down to Arkansas. As you can see, Jaden Hazelwood, that highly touted senior receiver, he falls to the 6th round, as he has not had as great of a career as you would have hoped. He only had 4 touchdowns and 40 receptions last year, so he had a tough season. And a couple of these teams don't even have anybody getting graduated. I was hoping Army maybe would have, but Auburn does have big old Tank Bigsby. He's getting drafted in the 2nd round, as well as Zion Puckett, their starting free safety, their senior safety. So that's going to be a big hit to the Tigers. BYU had a successful year. They have a lot of people getting drafted in the 5th and the 3rd round, respectively. Baylor is another team that had a number 1st round pick. Siaka Ika, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I am very, very sorry. Boston College missed out on getting anybody drafted. We'll see if we have any transfers coming into the next week. Brett Johnson for the UCal gets drafted. Let's see what Clemson's got. They have a lot of guys leaving, so Andrew Mukuba, he gets drafted in the 4th round. Brian Breesy in the 4th round. Bo Collins, junior receiver, in the 7th round. He was supposed to have a great season, but he kind of fell in the depth chart. Trenton Simpson goes in the 2nd. Miles Murphy in the 2nd. Rook Ohorahoro, I don't know if I pronounced that right at all. He went in the 5th. Kobe Pace goes in the 5th. DJ Uyangale goes in the 6th. And Walker Parks is going to go in the 7th. So they are losing a lot of production there. Clemson is, at least as far as their offense and defense goes. We're going to go down here and continue until we see Florida. They have a guy transferring, or a guy declaring, a sophomore, Cameron Waits, left tackle, 89 overall, declared for the draft. Frank Hunter is going to declare or transfer to Miami, so he is going to the rival, the freshman receiver out of Boca Grande, Florida. Then they have Gervin Dexter Sr. is going to the draft in the 2nd round. Rashad Torrance II, Mikel Tarkin, and Kingsley Eguakin. So a lot of people leaving for some of these teams. Florida State is just going to lose out on Jordan Travis and Fabian Lovett, so they have a lot of returning assets. Now Georgia doesn't lose much. Ladd McConkey is going to get drafted his junior year in the 4th round. He has had a great career for the Bulldogs in his 2 years here. Only 4 touchdowns, but as you can see, a very high volume receiver. Arik Gilbert goes in the 4th. He is going to be a tight end of the future, as he had an okay season. Tate Ratledge is going to go in the 7th round, the junior right guard. Then you've got their freshman running back, Brandon Harrington, is going to transfer to what I believe is Syracuse. Then you have Jalen Carter, the senior defensive lineman. He is going to go in the 1st round, obviously, and Dan Jackson, senior safety, is going to go in the 7th, and that would be about it for the Bulldogs. Not a lot of production there in the draft for them. Iowa does produce a few good people. A free safety, a punter in the 1st round, or the 4th round, and Logan Lee, a defensive tackle, in the 5th round. Kansas is going to go. Lonnie Phelps is going to go in the 5th round. They don't have a lot of people going in the draft. Stephen McBride. A lot of you've been around the channel for a while. You recognize a lot of those names. Tevin Burks for the Kansas State Wildcats transferring to Wyoming. And Felix Uzoma is going to get drafted in the 1st round, the big defensive lineman. And now we're getting to a couple of SEC schools. Jim Irvin transfers from Kentucky. They have 2 people drafted. LSU is getting a lot of people drafted, a lot of juniors. They have 4 underclassmen drafted, 1 underclassman transferring. They have a receiver, 2 receivers, a linebacker, and a defensive tackle. And Walker Howard, sophomore quarterback, threw only a couple passes this year. Last year he threw 91 attempts. This year he had 21. He's going to be transferring to Arkansas State, so we have to look out to see exactly what he'll produce out there in Arkansas. Keyshawn Boutte is going to have the third-round draft pick. Noah Kane is a third as well, and Jaden Daniels, the senior quarterback, who is finally losing his spot here in LSU as he has struggled the last few years. He will get drafted in the 6th round as we round out a lot of these teams. Not a lot of people left. Miami has a few people drafted. They have about 3 players drafted. Michigan has 2 underclassmen drafted, 3 seniors drafted, and a freshman linebacker transferring. Michigan State has a underclassman drafted, a junior in the 4th round. Freshman defensive lineman drafted or transferred. Missouri has 3 players drafted. I'm just going to look around and see anybody else. We do play North Carolina, so let's see if they have anybody interesting. They have Quentin Freeman is actually leaving town to go play back in Mississippi. That's where he's from. And Nick Summers, a freshman center, as they have Josh Downs, senior receiver, one of the highest rated receivers in the country, and he had a great season. He gets picked up in the 1st round there. I wish they could just tell you what teams may have drafted them. That would be an interesting thing. Is Notre Dame sees Michael Mayer drafted round 1, Isaiah Foskey round 2, Joe Alt round 2, and Clarence Lewis. They have no transfers there, so Notre Dame is chilling. Ohio State, the championship team, they have a ton of players drafted. As you can see, Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be drafted in the 1st round, as well as Paris Johnson Jr. Mike Hall Jr. is a 6th round pick. Anybody else big? Nobody else too crazy, but they do have a few people, a couple sophomores and a couple juniors get drafted early. Oklahoma has, dang, that's the most transfers I've seen, and they're having guys transfer to the SEC. So they have a lot of transfers for Oklahoma. There are 3 of them, 2 for Oklahoma State, nobody drafted. We'll round out with the last few teams. Oregon has a couple guys drafted, and we shall see exactly where everybody lands after that. We will see now advance to the next week. I did not mean to click on that. We will advance to the next week, and we will see exactly where everybody goes. Let's see. Players transfer requests. We will not export the draft class because I do not play Madden 25 on this Xbox. I wish you could export the draft class into Madden 25 on the next-gen consoles, but unfortunately you can't do that. As you can see, it stays the same. Jordan Burch is taken, Luke Doty in the 7th, Spencer Rattler in the 5th, Jaheim Bell in the 3rd, and Cam Smith in the 1st round there. Now we're going to see if we have any transfer requests. We have no transfer requests at all. Not surprising really there. It's not a big deal. You know, transfers in this game, they sit out a year, and it's not really realistic because at this place in time in history, you know, when this game came out, transferring wasn't as big of a deal as it is now. So it's easier to understand why transferring wouldn't be that big of a occurrence in this reality. And we get a bunch of XP there for having a, you know, draft picks in about every round. We only had, we were missing, what, the 2nd and the 4th, I believe. So now we're going to go back to recruiting. This is the biggest moment of all of the offseason. As you can see right now, our class is going to be a top 15 class. We have 1 5-star, 3 4-stars, 9 3-stars, 1 2-star, and about 14 prospects total. As you can see, we have Justin King there as our number 1 guy, the 5-star quarterback out of Connecticut. And you can see it's a fairly well-rounded class. We have our kicker as our lowest 2-star, but I'm not too worried about him being a massive star. But we have a lot of points, and we have a lot of people that we're going after. Team needs that we still need to pick up on. We still need a punter. We still need a strong safety because they're asking us to get 2, but I have accounted for that by getting another safety. I did get a free safety, I believe, so I'm probably just going to move him over and see if he'll be able to play the strong safety. Yeah, Jimmy Ross, we'll probably see if he's able to move over to the strong safety. So we will begin with the guys that I want the most. Jeff Clark, right off the bat, I really want him. He's a 4-star middle linebacker out of Greer. You've got to win the state before you win anywhere else, so I'm going to drop 1,000 on him. We'll come back to him in a little bit. Thomas Garrison is a guy that we got jumped by Duke, and I'm hoping that we can convince him to come play for us. He's out of Moncks Corner, South Carolina. We're going to give him about 1,000 there and hope that we can, you know, grab him away from the Blue Devils, and eventually we'll probably come back and adjust this a little bit. Tyron Monroe, tight end. We are blowing Pitt out of the water, so I'm going to play it a little bit conservative and give him 750 because if we miss out on him, that tight end position is looking very, very thin. Right now we'll have a sophomore and a junior on roster, so it's going to be looking thin there if we miss out on him, but I won't be too sad. I'm going to give Jamal Coleman a 250 offer there. I'm not too worried about that. Jermaine Kelly is a guy that I really would like to get. I'm going to offer him about 1250. Hopefully we can pry him away and keep Florida State away from him and add some depth to our offensive line, which is something we desperately need. The punter, Thomas Mayhew, I don't want to give him a ton of points, but we do need a punter, so I'm going to give him about 1,100 for right now. As I said, we'll come back through, obviously, and add other people or give other points. Jason Long is a guy I want to go after, so we're going to go ahead and offer him about 1,000, and we're going to come back through and edit that as we go. Receiving-wise, Austin Smith, I'm going to give, I don't want to give him too much. So I'm going to give him 500. And we'll go down here, and we've got Willie Brown, a guy that I'm just looking at to get some pipelines in Florida and maybe get a little depth. We'll offer him 500 as well. And we have a good amount of points remaining. So we're going to try and do some big things here. Chris Jackson, 4-star athlete. I believe right now he is projected to be a quarterback. So that is an interesting thing because we don't really need a quarterback, but I'm going to offer him that amount. We're going to go over here. We're going to offer Jeff Clark 2,000 because I really want to get Jeff Clark on this roster. We're going to offer Thomas Garrison about 1,250. I think that's a good amount for him. We'll go up on Tyron Monroe to about 1,000. And that should round us up. We have about 4,900 points left. So we're going to go up on Jermaine Kelly all the way up to 2,000, the center. There's going to be a very big get if we're able to get him. We're going to go up on Thomas Mayhew up to 1,500. So hopefully we're able to pull him in. We'll go up on Jason Long up to 1,500. And that is leaving us with about 3,250 points. We'll go up, we'll go up 150 on here. And we'll go up 100 on here. And that should round us out right at 12,000. So we have 3,000 points left. I'm trying to think who else I want to go after. We already have a lot of defensive tackles and defensive linemen. Let's see. We got one right here in Sean Jones. One right here in Justin Malone. One right here in Kevin Clayton. One right here in Cole Robinson. So I don't really think it is a big get for us to go after Chris Hall right now. So I'm going to give another 1,000 to Jeff Clark because I really want him on the roster. We're going to give him 3,000 total. That's going to be a lot of stuff to give him, but you guys got to understand just how much he's going to mean to this roster. We'll go up to 500 on Garrison, 1,500. Hopefully Duke settles back on that. We'll actually make it 750 to round it perfectly at 13,500. Jamal Coleman will get an extra 500 as we have about 1,000 left after this. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to give Chris Jackson an extra 500. So he's going to be at 1,750. We're going to go up 250 on Jermaine Kelly. And we're also going to go up the final little bit on Thomas Mayhew. And that's where I think we're going to stand. We're going very heavy after Jeff Clark. Very heavy after Jermaine Kelly. So we can have a center because as you can see, our offensive line is a weak spot for this roster. We're D+ right now for the centers. We only have a junior on roster, so we desperately need a safety, but we do have one coming in, I believe, currently, don't we? I think we might. Yeah, we have a safety in Will Archer, but we're going to need more than just one, and that's where we're going to stand. Hopefully, I did just enough to get some of those guys. It's going to be interesting to see as we advance to signing day. It should only take a couple of seconds to let us know exactly where everybody ended up going, and that is going to be the biggest part of this offseason, obviously. Recruiting boards are filled 100%. I see a guy commit to Clemson. They are now progressing our recruits. Let's see if I can spot South Carolina. I see us once on there. I see us twice, 3 times, 4 times right there. So we should have at least 4 commits. I haven't seen us again, unfortunately, so I'm wondering if we missed out on everybody else. We have Thomas Mayhew. Chris Jackson does end up committing to Southern Miss. That's okay. We get Jeff Clark, we get Jermaine Kelly, and we get Tyron Monroe. That is everybody that I wanted. I'm not too upset about that. We didn't get anybody else, but that is not a bad get at all. We got the 4 guys that we wanted the most outside of Chris Jackson, obviously, but like I said, he would have been a quarterback anyways, I believe, and we'll probably be able to check out and see exactly. We only have 5 scholarships remaining, so we are good as far as that goes. As you can see, Chris Jackson commits to Southern Miss. Jamal Coleman goes to the rival. He goes to Clemson. We didn't end up recruiting him all that much. Chris Hall, we dropped out there at the last second. He ended up going to Miami, Ohio. I feel bad for Willie Brown. We went after him, but he just didn't commit anywhere, unfortunately. Thomas Garrison, we missed out on him. He goes to Duke. Excuse me. Jason Long goes to SMU. Melvin Burns out of South Sumter goes to Michigan. Austin Smith goes to Newberry. And as you can see, everybody else down here is going to be committed to South Carolina. We had a great class. I wonder if we ended up top 10. We dropped a little bit. We dropped 4 spots down to 19. We only got the 1 5-star. We got 4 4-stars, 12 3-stars, and 3 2-stars, rounding out our class at 20 people total. And this is going to be interesting to go ahead and see where everybody's going to fit on this roster as we are nearing the end of this offseason. Position changes is going to be interesting to watch, as well as the progression, because we have a quarterback battle this year. Position changes is where we will begin. As you can see, we have Marshawn Lloyd returning as a senior running back. He is not going to go anywhere else. We could play him at quarterback. He's only a 40 overall. We have one athlete on the roster now, and he is going to fit in nicely as probably a running back, I'm imagining, but he could be a cornerback. So we're going to look at the other positions before we address that. Now, here's our quarterback situation right now. We've got Colton Gautier sitting at an 80. These guys will jump up. We've got Colton Gautier, Braden Davis, Johnny King, and Julius Canary. Obviously, Johnny King, if he is not the highest overall, we are going to be, we're going to be redshirting him despite how good he is. So that is nothing to worry about right there. Excuse me. Running back, we've got a lot of people here on roster. Marshawn is a senior. Juju's a senior. Lavosa Carroll, unfortunately, will not get a lot of playing time. He is going to be a senior by the time he gets a chance. Rashad Amos not getting a lot of playing time as a senior running back, but he's about to finish his degree probably, so he's fine with that. And Brandon Hammond is going to be sitting there at the running back position, unfortunately for us, not getting a lot of playing time either. Fullback, we have a few guys there that are going to be on the roster again. Receiver is really where we need to step up. We've got our big name guys. We've got Corey Rucker. We've got Landon Sampson. We brought in DJ Long from Alabama. He's going to play a good role. Brandon Robinson, Quentin Beck, and Chris Dobzinski is going to bring a big offensive boost. Chad Stevens as well. And we have a couple of guys down here that could possibly be good, but I'm probably looking at sticking that guy into the tight end position and seeing how he does, because right now we don't have a lot of, or the wide receiver position, and seeing how he does. And Keith Perkins, -10. That hurts. That is a big bust there. Trey Jones at 81 overall. We're going to have to figure out something about the left tackle position, as Jermaine Kelly ends up being a bust as well. Man, this is taking a big hit. Jermaine Kelly goes down 8, and he is a 62 overall. That is a big hit to this offensive line, and we're going to have to see if Tyshawn Wanamaker can start over there at the left tackle position, but we are extremely thin at the offensive line, so we need to go after some offensive lines very heavy. Justin Malone comes in as our starting left end, and we're going to honestly have all freshmen on that left end position. Defensive right end is going to have a senior in Gilbert Edmond and Kevin Clayton backing him up, a freshman. We'll probably move Cole Robinson over to the right end just to see how he performs, and none of them can play offensive lineman, unfortunately. I just wanted to see if any of them could possibly jump in there. Defensive tackle, we should be good on. Yeah, we've got plenty of people at a defensive tackle. Left outside linebacker is good with Darrell Ware starting there as a senior linebacker. Stone Blanton, a junior, starting in the middle. And we also have Debo Williams, a senior, starting at right outside linebacker. Cornerback goes pretty good. O'Donnell Fortune, Justin Birdsong, Keenan Nelson, Emery Floyd Jr., Kawan Blanks, and Steve Spencer is down there at the bottom, the freshman, redshirt freshman cornerback. We did not get Thomas Garrison, as you guys remember. Anthony Rose starting there, the sophomore, at an 80 overall right now. Then we have Jimmy Ross starting. He was a +4 overall. DQ Smith there, the junior. Mike Harris and Patrick Morris, I believe that is. Then we have Nick Minowori starting at strong safety. Kevin James and Jabari Crenshaw. So we are pretty much set up at the safety position. As you can see, Kevin James ended up going down 1 And Jabari Crenshaw jumps up 2. So that is an okay outing. Do any of these guys play cornerback at all? Because we could use the depth. Unfortunately, no, none of them play cornerback. Do any of them play linebacker? That is a better question. Where would we need the most help at linebacker is my question. I'm thinking left outside linebacker. So if we can put DQ Smith on at left outside linebacker, he can be our backup linebacker, and we have him there ready to go. As you can see, both of these guys. Thomas Mayhew, woo, he is a gem right there. Quarterback for Bill Benson is a 69 overall. Running back is 65. Receiver is 67. Anybody else that's semi-decent or any other position, a free safety 70. We don't really need another safety. So I'm going to stick him at receiver and get some depth on that position. And that's where we're going to stand as far as roster changes go, as far as positions go. And now we will go ahead and advance over to the training results, because that is very, very big for us. Just to see where we stand as far as talent goes. As you can see, we have a lot of depth issues this year, but it could get better with guys getting better overall wise. Marshawn Lynch, we'll go by position. Braden Davis jumps up 6th, the redshirt sophomore this year, and Colton Gautier, a junior, only goes up 4. Julius Canary is going to go up 4 as well, so he's almost caught up to them just after 1 year. Unfortunately, he's a JUCO, so he won't get much playing time. Marshawn Lloyd follows in at a 94. Lavosa Carroll at 89, Juju a 90, Rashad Amos at 82, and Brandon Hammond is going to go up 6 as he's a 73 overall. Receiver-wise, Corey Rucker hits 90 ball club, Landon Sampson hits 90, Brandon Robinson hits 78, Chris Dobzinski is going to hit 75, Quentin Beck a 74, Chad Stevens 71, Norris Purcell a 62, and Ben Williams a 62 as well. Scott Hall 75 overall, John McIntyre is going to hit 62 overall for our tight end position. Tyshawn Wanamaker goes up to 87, excuse me. Trey Jones 86, Brian Huffman is 72, Colin Henrich 82, Albert Reese the 5th or the 4th in 87, a junior there. Rory Patrick at 80, Tyler Upshaw at 71, Gilbert Edmond 86, Alex Huntley 89, TJ Sanders 81, Nick Barrett 80, and Jamal Wilson 73. Darrell Ware is going to hit 86, DQ Smith 80, Greg Jackson hits 72, Stone Blanton goes up to 83. I swear we just saw Debo Williams, but anyways, Debo Williams is going to hit 89. Cornerback O'Donnell Fortune hits 87. Justin Birdsong, the transfer from last year, he had to sit out a year, is going to hit 84 overall. He's a sophomore coming into the year. Keenan Nelson 84, Emery Floyd 82. Kawan Blanks also is going to hit 82. Anthony Rose 85 overall. Mike Harris 81. Strong safety is going to go Nick Eminawari up to an 85, and that is going to round out the training results. A big boost there for this team. They had a lot of worry about whether or not guys would boost up as they needed to be, or there was a lot of worry up until now, and I'm very happy with where we stand. There are some depth issues, but we'll have to address that as the season goes along, because it is going to be interesting to see exactly where everyone stands. We don't need to cut any players. We're missing one guy. Unfortunately, could have been Thomas Garrison. Custom conferences, we're not changing up. I know a lot of you guys want to see me stick Texas and Oklahoma into the SEC, but that's going to leave us without a Big 12 with a conference championship, and I like every conference at minimum to have a conference championship. We'll go ahead and look at it and see, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about whenever this loads. It's got to evaluate all the players, and we didn't have to cut anybody, thankfully. I think that's the second year in a row we haven't had to cut anybody. Very rarely do I have to cut anybody. There's not very many times that I end up cutting a player because we have too many players on the roster. It's just, it can be difficult to fill out your entire draft class with, or your entire recruiting class with all 25 players, because sometimes, guys don't commit when you expect them to. So if we remove Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12, that is going to leave them needing 2 more teams. I don't want to take any teams away and prevent other conferences from having or losing their conference championship. As you can see, everybody else has the exact right amount of members that you can have. The American Conference, I guess you could argue that we could take 2 teams from there. Maybe we could take a team from the Big 10 as well. That would be interesting, but I don't think anybody really fits there. So that is a interesting idea, and we'll go through with it. We'll stick Oklahoma in our side of the conference. Oklahoma is going to join the eastern side of the SEC. Texas is going to join the west, so they can be matched up with Texas A&M. I'm not trying to move Kansas game. I want to move Texas and Oklahoma. So that's going to leave them missing 2 teams. What of these 2 teams could join them? I know UCF is going to in real life, so we'll go ahead and jump and pop UCF into the Big 12. And what other team would be realistic? Maybe SMU. We'll stick to Cincinnati. We'll put Cincinnati in the Big 12. Doesn't make a lot of sense if we're being honest as far as geography goes, but neither does UCF. So now the Big 12 is struggling as they are missing pretty much all of their ranked teams. But now the SEC is looking a whole lot stronger. We have to take on Oklahoma every year and Texas every couple of years as well. So this is going to be a tough conference, as it already was. And that is where the SEC will stand as we head into what is our 3rd season now, our 2nd revamped season. Obviously, we didn't have it the first season. We will go into the preseason. I'm not going to do any recruiting on this first episode. We're going to set up the roster. We're going to set up the schedule so we know exactly what our schedule is going to look like. And then, obviously, outside of that, that is pretty much where we're going to stand as far as the next season goes. I will see you in the next beginning of the season. The next episode is where we will join each other back again, because I do not want to go through with all the recruiting right now. But we're going to go through our roster. We're going to redshirt whoever we would like to redshirt. Obviously, Johnny King is going to get redshirted first. We're going to have to redshirt. We can't redshirt Juju McDowell. That just doesn't make sense. We'll go down here, and we're going to redshirt some of these guys. We're going to redshirt Bill Benson, 67 overall, and Quentin Beck. He's going to play in the future for us, but right now he's not going to have a huge role. So I think it's only right that we redshirt him. Tight end, we don't really have anybody that we can redshirt. Left tackle, we don't. Center, we can redshirt Jermaine Kelly, the JUCO guy who dropped by 8. I'm so disappointed in that. Right guard is somebody that we can't redshirt. Left end, for right now, we'll redshirt Justin Malone just because we don't need him playing. We'll redshirt pretty much every freshman we can get. We're going to redshirt. We're going to redshirt Willie Harvey, even though he's pretty bad. Steven Lewis is going to be redshirted. He's a freshman down there at the middle linebacker position, and cornerback nobody. Free safety Jimmy Rawls won't be playing for us this first year. Unfortunately, he's got a legendary name, so that is very unfortunate. That's going to be all of our redshirts for the year, as we're going to go into the depth chart, and I want to arrange things a different way. Right now, Braden Davis is QB1. We've seen things from him. He's impressed in a little bit of playing time. So Colton Gautier is going to have to fight to try and get a shot at that job, but both of them have at least a fair chance, in my opinion. Juju McDowell is going to be our 3rd down back, probably. We're going to sit there, and we're going to put Lavosa Kara as the backup, and Juju McDowell as the 3rd string there. Fullback is going to stay where it's at. Corey Rucker will be wide receiver number 1. Then Landon Sampson there, and we're going to have Brandon Robinson at the 3rd spot. And DJ Long, a freshman, will get opportunities, as well as Chris Dobzinski and Chad Stevens. Scott Hall will be our starting tight end. We're going to actually go over here, and let's see. Do any of these receivers have a chance at tight end? Not really, not particularly. I was hoping some of them would be better at tight end than this, because it's kind of alarming. But we'll go ahead and we'll stick John McIntyre in there, because he's not getting, he can just be our 3rd tight end. It doesn't really matter. And we'll go and see. That should be about it as far as the depth chart goes. And we will go and see exactly what our schedule is going to be. And that is where we will end this video. As you can see, setup schedule. Starting the season off again, Mississippi State. Then we have number 6, Georgia, East Carolina, Texas A&M, UCF, Kentucky, bye week. Then we take on a a rough schedule here. Tennessee, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Open, Florida, Oklahoma, and Clemson, all in the last 3 weeks. And then the conference championship week will resume there at the final end of the season. And that is all I have for you guys. If you did enjoy this format, or you would rather see a live stream, go ahead and comment down below which one you preferred. Obviously, if I can't get the Dynasty tool working next offseason, assuming I'm still doing all this, I am going to just do a live stream. I apologize for that. I hope you guys did still enjoy this offseason and this offseason video. And if you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. And we'll see you guys back at the start of Season 3.